Welcome back to season 4 of Connecting with Purpose. And today in this solo episode, we're hitting on a topic that every founder and CEO and leader faces at some point in their growth journey, even if maybe we feel it hard to admit it out loud. And that is, how can we sustain high performance without burning out? And how can we build a team culture that does the same? Now, as you know, my approach is very much about aligning well-being, performance and impact. But this isn't just about wellness. This is about how can we perform better and scale better so we can scale our impact and get the results we need for our business. And it's about our energy being aligned, creating an operating system through aligning our energy. So if we look at it first from the leader's perspective, ultimately you can't perform from an empty tank. You can't sustain your performance that way. Think about elite sports. Recovery isn't a reward, it's a skill. It's planned, we protect it, we even measure it. And it's really hard to do that in business, but we need to start blocking time intentionally for that. Leaders need to look at rest as a skill and as a mindset. Most founders will find that they probably actually haven't got a workload problem, they've really got more of a load management problem. It's the cognitive load that we have to take on in our decision making, the emotional weight of carrying the team and the business, the relational load of investor expectations, and there's a cultural load of just the overall symbolic energy of where the organisation is at. None of that takes time, but it does take energy. And if that load isn't being managed intentionally, it can manage you. So when leaders skip recovery and renewal, the first thing to suffer is our clarity, our presence in the moment, maybe our empathy of others, and certainly our creativity. And it doesn't mean that we're bad leaders. It just means that we're depleted. We're not operating at our full capacity. It shrinks our organisation's capacity at the same time, at the exact time when the business really needs additional capacity to expand. And so the shift towards a sustainable performance model requires converting output to capacity, effort to clarity, and endurance to energy. If you're an elite leader, you're not one who powers through. You certainly work super hard, but you're very intentional about what you're focused on and how you're protecting your capacity for you to lead at your best. Second area to focus on is teams. How can we take our teams beyond resilience to anti-fragility? Once we've got the leader's performance engine operating and kind of stabilised, we really now need to work on the teams. Now, resilience is about bouncing back, but I don't think that's really enough. The best teams today, the anti-fragile teams, they just go forward. They don't even bounce. They go forward because they grow because of the pressure. They use pressure as energy. It's how they process pressure. They process it like an elite squad, like in the sport, in any elite sport. I remember it so much from my rugby playing days. Think of it in the military, and how we review our performance immediately after every match. Pressure becomes reflection, which becomes learning, which becomes adaptation, and that cycle turns stress into strength. We synchronize our rhythm. We rarely burn out by working too hard. We usually burn out because we're sprinting at different paces. We're sprinting in misalignment to where our capacity is. Anti-fragile teams move through a predictable cycle. They push, they pause, they're present, they're patient, they prepare, and then they perform. They align their contribution based on their energy. Now, we use the GC index for measuring this. It measures how different people's energy is wired, and we all have 5 different ways that we like to contribute our best, and a mix of all 5. Game changers, driving towards possibilities. Strategists, always looking to provide clarity. Implementers, looking to get the things done to build some progress. Polishers, looking for cracks and improvements in the system so we can get better. And playmakers, building cohesion, right people doing the right things at the right time. If we understand this, we can lean into our own lanes of energy, complement each other more effectively, and channel pressure into the people that can cope with it best in that particular moment, and collectively understand what that looks like for us in terms of what we value and how we can process pressure to our advantage. Purpose transforms pressure into meaning, and that meaning creates fuel. That's the big picture that enables and fuels that narrow focus in the moment because it gives it meaning. These teams train for discomfort. Like adversity becomes a rep, ambiguity becomes a drill, setbacks just provide more data. Because anti-fragile teams, they don't avoid the tension, they embrace it, and they're built to grow in that tension. That's what builds the capacity in the organisation. So when we look beyond that to the broader scope of the people, we've got to protect the energy across the organisation. And this is where we really need to think about some of the systemic elements around what energy looks like for different people in the business. Because burnout isn't just about people, it's about the systems. And if we're always operating against a system or against a process, it's inhibiting our performance. We need enabling systems, enabling processes. So that is looking at creating a rhythm. So weekly, how are we aligned? How clear are we on what we're focused on? And how are we each leaning into our areas of energy? Monthly, we can look at reflections and recalibrations, just looking after action reviews. How did this particular thing go? What went well? How can we do it better? Quarterly, obviously looking to align to strategy, our 90-day plans, and how we're doing against the strategy. And obviously annually, we're looking to be able to step back, take up the bigger picture, get in some renewal and drive forward again. Because it's just the rhythms of whatever these things need to look like in your business that can create some stability and some resilience over time that enables everyone to perform at their best. Because if rhythms disappeared and everything's all over the place, it feels like chaos. Everything becomes urgent, nothing feels integrated, and people eventually burn out, not necessarily because they're doing too much, they're not just doing enough of the right things. Because when rhythm's strong, the energy moves like a heartbeat, and for each separate person, that heartbeat is consistent, it's powerful, it's predictable. This is what separates the companies that grow once to those that continue to grow repeatedly, because that sustainable performance, it's not a soft thing, it's a scalable thing. It allows you to deliver impact in the marketplace, impact on your customers, impact for your people, and impact maybe at society at large. And we don't burn out because every system is aligned to that and we're focused on the right things. So just to close out with some practical takeaways, here's 3 questions that you could consider this week. Thinking of you as a leader first, where's your personal performance energy leaking energy right now? Where are the energy depleters? Where are the energy vampires in your week? And what would it look like if you could just protect 1 hour of time for thinking, for strategy, for looking around the corner? Think about your team. Where are they experiencing strain instead of growth? Think about those GC index proclivities. How can you start to align conversations and align efforts in alignment with those proclivities? And then at the organisational level, think about rhythm. What does rhythm currently look like? What's the type of a cadence you can create around one thing that makes a difference? Because when we think about ultimate performance, it's not about running harder. It's about us creating a human-centred performance system that multiplies your ability to lead, to build, and sustain impact. Thanks for tuning in to this solo episode of Connecting with Purpose. If this resonated, please share it with another leader who might benefit. And if you'd like to learn more about our ultimate performance systems, please do get in touch. I'd love to have a conversation with you about it. Cheers.